Good morning, Jefferson City. Welcome to the NT Daily for Wednesday, July 29th. I'm Erin. Today, Jefferson City, the city of Jefferson, is spending $45,000 to answer a question many city employees probably already have strong feelings about. Are they being paid enough? The Missouri Public Service Commission also wants to hear from residents who have used utility assistance programs. The Cole County Fair is underway despite some very hot weather, and more than 600 paddlers are making their way down the Missouri River. Why? I do not know, but we're going to talk about it. And high school sports is almost back, which I'm very excited about. We don't even have to wait until the season begins to talk about Helias boys golf again, because congratulations to Lake Bennett. He had some historic news over the week. So let's start with City Hall and that $45,000. The City Council approved a $45,000 study to determine whether city employees are being paid fairly and whether city jobs remain competitive in today's labor market. The city has hired PayPoint HR to conduct a compensation and classification study covering all 425 full-time city employees. That includes 145 job titles spread across 22 broad salary ranges. The firm will review each position and compare the city salaries with similar employers and recommend whether certain jobs should move into a different pay grade or classification. The final report will also estimate how much it would cost the city to implement those recommendations. Any actual salary changes would require additional funding and likely another decision by the council. So this is just a study. It is also the second compensation study the city's done in 4 years. They paid about $28,000 for a similar review in 2022, but city officials say wages have changed so quickly that study became outdated before many of its recommendations could be looked at. So the earlier study estimated it would take about $1 million to bring salaries into the recommended ranges. Human Resources Director at the city, Paul Buckley, told the council that Missouri's new $15 minimum wage and continued staffing shortages are signs that the city's current pay structure may no longer be competitive. Jefferson City has also been searching for a city attorney since September, and the Jeff Tran, we have talked about this before, remains 5 bus drivers short. One reason that the bus schedule is still operating on a reduced schedule. So PayPoint estimates the new study will take up to 20 weeks. Seems like a long time, but city employees will have the opportunity to respond to the company's recommendations before the report is final. So sometime around the end of the year, the city might have a clearer picture of where its pay is and how it can retain workers. That hard question about whether we have the money to do that will have to be followed later. So we will stay on top of that. And while Jefferson City is reviewing what it pays its employees, the Missouri Public Service Commission is reviewing how residents get help paying their utility bills. The PSC wants to hear from Missourians who have received assistance through the investor-owned utilities. So that would include Erin, Evergy, Missouri Liberty Utilities, Spire, American Water, and Summit Utilities. The commission wants feedback about the overall customer experience, eligibility requirements, the verification process, outreach, whether these programs are actually reaching the people who need help. This does not include the programs run by the rural electric cooperatives or municipally owned utilities, because those providers are not regulated by the PSC. The commission held 2 workshops in June where participants repeatedly raised one major concern. The assistance system is too complicated, which that sounds like a misnomer. Assistance system should be not complicated, but customers may have to prove their eligibility multiple times while applying separately for federal assistance, a utility's own program, others that are offered by nonprofits. So the basic question here is, once someone has already provided the documents that show they are eligible and should qualify, should they have to start all over every time they apply? It's unclear how much of this is under the PSC's control, whether they can force federal or local assistance programs to change, but it can revise programs offered by the investor-owned utilities that it regulates and try to bring those organizations together. Public comments are due back by the end of August 31st. You can submit feedback by emailing pscinfo@psc.mo.gov. Today's NT Daily is brought to you in part by MU Healthcare. MU Healthcare's front door is never too far from yours. With more than 80 locations across mid-Missouri and expert hospital care in Jefferson City and Columbia, MU Healthcare is committed to ensuring every Missourian has access to the region's most advanced diagnostic and treatment options. MU Healthcare, expert care close to you. The Cole County Fair is underway, and neither the competitors nor the cattle allowed the temperatures above 100 degrees to stop Monday's breeding beef showcase. Dozens of young livestock handlers gathered inside the barns at the Jefferson City JC's Cole County Fairgrounds, where organizers used a fleet of fans to try to keep the animals cool. Competitors also added ice to the cattle's water and washed them throughout the day. 16-year-old Callie Smith said she washed her Highland steer twice Monday to keep him comfortable. And yes, hers is one of those fluffy Highland cows. They are less common at these county fairs than breeds like Angus, so Smith's animal competes in the all other breeds category. The young competitors explain that preparing cattle for a show involves far more than walking them around in the ring. They carefully manage feeding and watering, groom their animals, and train them to remain calm around crowds, loud noises, unfamiliar surroundings. One competitor said she prepares her cattle by jumping, clapping, yelling, and playing loud music near them. That kind of sounds like a party with cattle. But there apparently is raising a champion show cow involves proper nutrition, expert grooming, and occasionally acting like a strange personal trainer. Judges evaluate the cattle's structure, muscle, and in the case of heifers, whether they are likely to become strong breeding animals. The fair is continuing throughout the week. There are lots of additional livestock shows, entertainment, and events at the fairgrounds. Go check that out. And check out our coverage of that in the News Tribune paper. So, another example of people voluntarily doing extremely difficult things during a very hot Missouri summer, particularly this week. The MR 340 is making its way down the Missouri River. This year's race includes 652 paddlers and 465 boats traveling 340 miles from Kansas City area to the St. Charles area. The race began Tuesday morning, and the first paddlers are expected to begin reaching Jefferson City on Wednesday, today. Participants have up to 85 hours to complete the race, with a final deadline of 9 p.m. Friday. And when they say this race is running continuously, they mean continuously. Competitors paddle through the night in kayaks, canoes, pedal boats, paddleboards, rowboats, dragon boats. Organizers schedule the race around the lunar cycle, so paddlers have as much natural moonlight as possible overnight. Jefferson City is a mandatory checkpoint, and racers must arrive here by 4 p.m. Thursday to remain eligible. So last year, nearly 600 people registered. Only 272 were official finishers. More than 100 boats were unable to complete the course. The winning team finished the race in just under 40 hours. Personally, I have driven from Kansas City to St. Charles and felt like I deserved a break in a car, so these people are doing it with paddles, no air conditioning, probably not a lot of sleep, so keep your eye on the river because you might see some very tired, very determined racers passing along through Jefferson City. This episode is also brought to you by Hen House Fresh Foods, your local market at 1904 Southwest Boulevard. A new week of specials begins today, Wednesday, with fresh deals throughout the week. In the meat, produce, and deli and bakery departments, you can find the complete weekly ad at henhousefreshfoods.com on our social medias, theirs, and you can always text 41570 to get those savings directly to your phone. So go see our friends at Hen House, your local market on Southwest Boulevard. And high school sports are almost back. We just have a couple of weeks left. We are getting into August, and somehow I have found a way to still talk about Helias boys golf. Again, no apologies, but incoming Helias senior Lake Bennett made history Sunday by becoming the youngest winner of the Missouri Stroke Play Championship. Bennett is only 17. He broke a tournament record that had stood for 19 years and ironically was previously held by another Helias graduate, Connor McHenry, who was 19 when he won in 2007. Bennett entered the final round at Bogey Creek Golf Club and shot a 6 under par 66 to win the championship by 3 strokes. After a couple of early bogeys, he finished the front 9 at 1 under. Bennett eagled the 290-yard par for 12th hole later and made 3 consecutive birdies to secure the title. 3 of his 4 tournament rounds were under par, and each of those rounds was 69 or better, so that's pretty impressive. And it was not the only impressive Helias golf performance. Bennett's playing partner, Helias graduate Archer Schneiders, finished 4th and recorded a hole-in-one during his final round. So congratulations to Lake Bennett on making Missouri golf history. At this rate, Helias boys golf just may be a year-round beat, you know. Worse things have happened. I haven't had any angry calls today, so no one's mad about Helias boys golf, at least. Not right now. That is it for today's NT Daily. You can read all of these stories at newstribune.com. I am actually taking a real vacation soon, and it is going to be glorious. So I only have a few more, maybe just one more episode of the NT Daily left before that happens. So I'm going to have a good friend, Amanda Riley, back in the studio with me this week. And we are going to do a fun little segment where you get to ask Erin anything. I think they used to call those AMAs on Reddit, Ask Me Anything. But we are going to be talking about the upcoming primary on Tuesday because I will be gone. So we'll be talking about the ballot issues, Erin's background in a previous life on working on ballot issue campaigns and other campaigns. So you can ask me about any of the amendments that will be on the August or November ballots. And we might spill some tea, might spill some wine, might drink some wine. You never know. So I hope you'll tune in later this week to watch me and Amanda and send in your questions. You can reach us on social media or at ntdaily@newstribune.com. And we will see you again soon.